This is how you save a brand that's in decline. The example that I'm using for today's video is Nike. So as we all might know, that Nike has been in the news lately due to their market value going down and just general bad publicity going towards this conglomerate brand. And it's quite interesting to see how a big brand like this has just slowly went backwards over the years. And one of the reasons that this has happened is because they admitted they relied too much on their golden seller shoes, the Air Jordan 1s and things like that. And they had some troubles going into the retail space and taking that over from Nike's side. So what we do here at Vidico for all of our clients is we run them a creative intelligence report. And I did that for Nike just because they're a brand in decline. And I wanted to see what it is that Vidico could do to help them from a marketing perspective. Now, what this creative intelligence report is, it's basically a category teardown of your brand and your competitors. And then it matches up everything from the audience analysis, the competitive landscape, the positioning and messaging comparison. So that's where we combine your messaging and we take it up against your competitors, and we see what similarities there are and where you could position yourself differently, taking those similarities into account. And it's quite interesting to see all the messaging gaps that we've seen in Nike's general marketing messaging. Now, before I go into a bit more detail of that, I just want to go through here what our creative intelligence report does. And one of the things that a lot of clients are talking about is the customer perception. Nike has very bad online reviews. To give you an idea, they have a 1.6 out of 5 star rating on Trustpilot. Now, the thing is with these big brands, how I can imagine it is where they necessarily don't care about what people are writing about them because they've got this big name in their industry. But we are moving in a time where proof is polish. That means that people are more reluctant to follow the more cinematic, polished approach, and they actually want to see what people out there are saying about brands. Now, Nike has been on top of everyone's lips since the 80s, 90s, but we are going into an era where this is the type of stuff that people are writing about Nike. And the thing is, it's not necessarily about quality of the product, but it's got to do with customer relations and the entire experience that people experience while trying to buy from Nike, or deliveries and things like that. Now, that is a thing that they can't ignore because, the more that gets out there, the more people are just going to recognize Nike as this brand that really doesn't care about their customers or the customer services. Now, another thing that we do on this creative intelligence report is we spot the messaging disconnects. It just shows you, where people experience a certain thing and what you're saying. So if you're saying it is a great experience, but the people don't necessarily have that experience, that's a messaging disconnect. And that's something that most brands need to work on. Now, our creative intelligence reports helps us to spot the white space and the anti-positioning opportunities. Now, this is basically just where Nike can own the floor, if one can call it that, right? We've given them so many ideas, but this just gives you an idea of how in-depth these creative intelligence reports goes and how you could actually utilize that and then find the white space and then the creative moves, to own that white space. I'm not going to go through this entire intelligence report. It will take us very long. But a while back, when I did this specific intelligence report, I did a bunch of newsletters around that. And one of the newsletters was focused on the 3 moves that Nike could own. Now, we could see that there is this massive disconnect in the knockoff market because Nike has such a real massive knockoff market, but we haven't seen them actually utilize that to their advantage. Now, one of the things that I thought could work really well for them is if they could use the knockoff market as a proof engine, as a proof machine. And it's basically just comparing the actual shoe with the fake shoe and putting them through different scenarios to see which one lasts better, which one stays cleaner, which one, has the Nike-ness to it, if that's even a word. Now, that's something that they could use, and they can bring in scientists and create videos of like the science that goes behind a certain running shoe or a certain lifestyle shoe. And they can do that breakdown, they can build a shoe. And I think that is stuff that the era that we're in, people find fascinating when it comes to them actually visualizing the intense work that goes into actually creating these shoes. Now, Nike has this thing when they say, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And that's a messaging thing that they're putting out there. But the problem is that most of their marketing, let's say about 99% of their marketing, doesn't necessarily include the everyday athlete. They are focused on the mega athlete. And that is a messaging disconnect, and it's a creative space that they can own if they go for the everyday legends. The everyday legends are the nurses, the teachers, the parents, the night shift workers, the people that have to wear these shoes in order to function throughout the day, but just go through their day in general. Now, they could easily own the space to really focus a bit more on that. And then they can filter themselves into different industries to actually show that they care, which is quite interesting. Another example I found for them was, if you look at Puma, who completely just owned the high rock space. It's a new type of fitness event that caters for the more everyday fitness person, not someone that has to go to like the elite levels. But Puma owned that sport. They are the official supplier of clothing and shoes for this fitness event. And I mean, like, that's a massive gap that Nike could have owned, because there's no real reason why they couldn't just adjust everything that they're currently building to this type of sport. And Puma saw the gap, they owned the gap, and now they have the extended deal to be the global partner until 2030. So that's a gap that Nike missed. But in creating this intelligence report, I obviously did some research, and I stumbled upon a video that Casey Neistat did. Now, Casey Neistat is a vlogger in New York City. Look, he's got a massive following, and he posted this video a month ago, and it has 1.8 million views. Now, to give you some context, this video is about a guy who has cerebral, and he wanted to run the Boston Marathon. And Casey Neistat kind of like followed him, did a documentary style video, and it's a good motivational video, but it is another gap that I think Nike can own in a whole different space. This is the way he runs. You can see he's constantly like on his toes. So what happens to him is that when he trains or when he runs the actual marathon, every 10 miles, he needs to get new shoes. He needs to wear new shoes because of the friction that's happening, like his toes are literally going through the shoe. Now, here is a massive gap for Nike, not just necessarily in the space of people that have cerebral palsy and need specific shoes that can actually handle the way they're running, but just as a great way for them to get back on the map that we actually do care about the everyday athlete. Because Logan, this person that they are, filming here, he does have the everyday athlete vibe to him, and someone who has so many disadvantages. And this is a space that Nike can own by actually getting in there and being like, this should not be a disadvantage for you. And it's a beautiful story. So when you get the chance, do go watch that video. But it comes down to, this is a perfect moment for Nike to jump in and design a specific shoe that can handle the friction like that. And again, another proof engine that they can create with scientists actually going through how they went to design a shoe like that, how they do the testing and all of that. So it is very, very interesting, the gaps that they can earn. And if Nike has the right moves, they could jump on that bandwagon pretty soon. Now, this is all thanks to the creative intelligence report that we're running. We have hundreds of pages that we analyze for this. And then, we get the gaps in from your messaging, from your creative, and then just find the white space that you can own. So if you are interested in doing a creative intelligence report, we're doing a bunch of them specifically in B2B tech and SaaS. So it's completely free. It's worth $2,500. And we've physically had clients, big SaaS companies, that have changed their 2026 strategy because of the information that they've received through this creative intelligence report. So when you have a moment, do it. It's free. Check if you qualify, and then we'll just take it from there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do want more videos in creative marketing, video marketing, design, motion systems, things like that, please drop a